Mark Tripp, but I will turn the floor over to you, Mr. Westcott, and you can proceed as you see fit. I will, let me just throw about our protocol before we get started. If you're on, please put your mic on mute unless you're willing to speak. Otherwise, we'll get a lot of bleed over during the meeting. Thank you.
Beginning with items number 1 and 1A, it's been recommended that we remove those from the agenda. So that's my motion for the removal of items number 1 and 1A.
Second that.
Is there any discussion on the removal of 1 and 1A? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Brown, what say you on 1 and 1A? Well, I see you, but I can't hear you.
You're on mute, Larry.
Welcome, Mr. Tripp.
Good morning.
Mr. Tripp, there is a motion and second for the removal of items number 1 and 1A from the finance agenda.
I'm okay. So if you need a minute, there's a second, right?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Caruth seconded that. I don't know for sure that that Larry's microphone is working because I haven't heard.
I think Larry has popped off. He may be trying to reestablish link.
Okay. Well, that's still 3. So that passes. Back on with us yet?
I do not see him at this point.
Item number 2 is consideration of a resolution to sell that property on 919 West 2nd Court. I believe that we had previously talked about that, selling that to Habitat for Humanity in the amount of $1,000, and that's what this resolution would be for. What's the pleasure of the committee on item number 2?
Eric?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
Who's wanting to purchase it?
I believe it's the people that have the property right next door to it.
They have a home on that? I mean,
Well, your audio is breaking up on you, Ms. Phillips.
I'm sorry. Do they own a house next door?
As far as I know, they do.
Okay.
Is there a deed restriction or anything on this that would not allow them to resell it or anything like that?
That would be a question for Mr. Smith if he's still on with us.
No, at this time, there is nothing that would restrict it other than we give them a special warranty deed just to say that we guarantee the title just to what we have, but we nothing else outside the chain. It is in the floodplain, so there is that kind of restriction of the value of it not being not having a high value because of its floodplain designation.
I move for the approval of number 2. There a second?
Well, let's second that.
Is that a second from you, Ms. Caruth?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, there's a motion and second for the approval of item number 2. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
What say you, Mr. Tripp?
I said aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Did you hear me?
That's all right. I'll turn my volume up here.
I hear him fine.
Turn my volume up here. Okay. Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Item number 3 is request for approval of the first quarter expenses for the Boys and Girls Club in the amount of $17,584.67. I move for the approval of item number 3.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion carried. And I'm still not seeing Mr. Brown. Has he joined us again? Are we good?
Lynn, I can see Mr. Brown on the screen, but he has not been able to unmute his iPad.
Are we good? Okay.
We do have the option, Mr. Brown, if you can hear me, if you will dial into the number, you can leave your screen up. If you will dial into the number on the Outlook that was provided, you can call in on your cell phone or on your home phone, and you can get audio that way, and you can listen in that way.
Well, I'm going to move on to item number 4, which is the request for approval of the first quarter expenses for the Alliance for Economic Development in the amount of $19,837.36. And in the absence of Mr. Harville being present with us to answer any questions, I move for the approval of item number 4.
Second.
Is there any discussion on item number 4? One thing that is required in the contract is that 7 days prior to council meeting, it is required that they provide to this council not only their bills, which they have done, also general ledger information, their financial standing information, and most importantly, their economic development plans, which I don't know that we've ever received anything like that in writing, but that is required for their contract. And so with that in mind, I hope that that will be made available to the council here in the next couple of days.
Eric, I will task Robin to reach out to the chamber and the alliance to get that information to the council.
I appreciate that. The reason I asked, not only is that required by their contract, but this just under $20,000 that we will spend with them next week, that's going to require some company, some store, some retail outlet to generate over $317,000 worth of retail sales just to recover that amount that we've spent out of the treasury. So I'd like to have some kind of information on what they have in store or what they have in the works that's going to generate that much money to put it back into the treasury. All those in favor for the approval of item number 4, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
That's 2-1. And what's the word for Mr. Brown? We have a vote for Mr. Brown yet?
I see that Mr. Brown is still on, but he is still muted, Larry.
Ask him to give a thumbs up or thumbs down. I know it's
Excellent.
not recorded.
Mr. Brown, if you're in favor of approval of the invoices for the Alliance, if you'll raise your hand. I don't even see you on my screen.
I did not see him as well. I don't, let me suggest that you re-vote. I think Ms. Caruth meant to vote in favor of, I may be wrong on that. She was muted at the time that you had asked for the ayes in favor of.
Aye. Did you
Hey,
Okay.
get my vote? That's a 3. Okay.
Okay.
That's number 3.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you very much.
I have Mr. Brown on the phone and he said he's a yay. He's for it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Skelton. Item number 5. And also I'd like to couple this with number 7, just combine those together. So doing number 5 and number 7 because they're so closely tied to each other. Number 7 is the consideration of a resolution to enter into a contract for the Citicorp I-40 Gravity Sewer Project, which will be done, if I understand the paperwork correctly, by KJAX contractors. But in order to do that, we need to approve this resolution to enter into a contract with KJAX. And so my motion is for the approval of items number 5 and 7.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion on items number 5 and 7? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Brown. Aye.
Hold on. Can you not mute it at the bottom if you touch your?
Okay, that motion carries. Item number 6.
Mr. Westcott, can I ask a question on that item real fast?
Certainly. Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be answered right now, but is that the project that has a grant attached to it for maybe $500,000 that is contingent upon a convention center going to that site? And if so, is there a contingency if a convention center doesn't end up at that site?
I have read through that. Go ahead, Mayor.
That's just the grants, $1.6 million, I believe, on that grant. And Steve Mallett has been working with the West Central Arkansas Planning Development District to ensure that The scope of the project still entitles us to use that grant money for that project, and that has been verified. If we can get Mr. Mallett probably or someone from WCAPDD to verify that between now and the council meeting next week, or maybe in the finance committee meeting. But that question has been asked and has been answered.
So my question, I'd like to see it in writing, and I'd like to know if there's a time frame limitation on it or not.
Excellent.
And what City Corp's contingency is if we have to pay that money back.
There is no payback. No payback. That's a grant.
Tied to a specific purpose, and that's why I'm asking, is it tied to it, and is there a time frame, a deadline? Because in previous meetings, it's been stated by Mr. Mallett that that money might have to be paid back.
Okay, we'll just get Mr. Mallett to address your questions.
Okay. So what is the will of the committee on moving forward to next Thursday's finance meeting? If that's what you want to do, or do you want to move it on to the full council? Items number 5 and 7. In fact, I'm gonna rephrase my motion then. Instead of
I'm going to second.
moving for the approval of this, I move that we forward this to next Thursday's finance meeting so that we can get the other information that you need, Mr. Tripp. Are we good with that?
Yes, I second that.
All those in favor of moving this to next Thursday's finance meeting, say aye.
Okay, I'm on.
There he is.
Yeah, finally.
So is that an aye?
Aye.
Hello, Mr. Brown. What about you, Ms. Caruth?
Aye.
Okay, excellent. And the last thing on my agenda here, or our agenda here, is item number 6. It's consideration of a resolution for the mayor and city clerk treasurer to enter into a contract with, we don't know whom just yet, the lowest bidder for the landscaping and sprinkler maintenance on all the bulb outs and the stuff on El Paso and what have you.
Yeah,
And that's in accordance with what's already been budgeted for that. Is there a motion for the approval of item number 6?
motion.
Hold on, but who's it with?
Just the lowest bidder.
This is Robin. Excuse me. This is Robin.
They can hear me now.
Okay.
This is. Let me clarify this for council. We are going to actually open the bids next Wednesday. We'll have the name of that should go in this for the 5:30 Thursday meeting. So I don't want it to pass. I just wanted to bring it up to that we're going to have that information. We're going to need to approve it because we're late.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, good.
Where do they submit those bids?
I didn't understand that.
Where do they submit the bids? Do
They
have-
submit the bids to City Hall.
And do we have a time limit on it or a date or anything?
This is Robin. The bids are due in next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And it has been in the paper once. It'll be in one more time. So it'll be next Wednesday.
Okay, so we need to table this till next Thursday's finance meeting. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay, so my motion is to table item number 6 to next Thursday's finance meeting.
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and second to table item number 6. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Does anybody on the finance committee have anything further before we adjourn? Hearing none, Mayor, we yield back to you.
Okay, I understand that you're done with the finance committee meeting, so we will adjourn that meeting. I've noticed that we have a full complement of council members available, so we will go right into the agenda prep meeting. So the mayor's report, there will be a discussion. This will be an educational discussion from Trey Smith relating to any claims, tort type of claims against the city and the city's responsibility in those claims. So that's what item number 1 in the mayor's report is about. The department report will be Public Works. Before we go any further, I did ask Kenneth to be online to give the project status. So Kenneth, are you here? Kenneth, you are on. You are muted at this point. Can you unmute? Kenneth, can you unmute? Okay, while Kenneth's figuring out how to unmute, let's move on.
There, I'm here.
Okay, you here?
Sorry. Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay, can you give us a project
Yeah,
status?
yes, sir. Tanglewood and Eastwood, we're at 75%. The job is moving quickly. Only thing that slowed it down actually is the rain that we've had. Brookside drainage, we haven't started yet. All we have to do is to set a pre-construction meeting, and we're trying to do that. It's just having to do everything like we're doing now virtual. It's tough getting everyone on the same time, but as soon as we can get that done, we'll move forward with that. For the one I really want to talk about is Parkway, Weir, and Elmira. The plans are basically complete. So by the end of next week, me and Glenn discussed earlier, we will be putting that out for advertisement to get bids to get the job started. It's going to be a big job, but it'll be definitely a good one that needs to be done. So hopefully by the end of next week, we'll have that out to get bids. South Houston and Shalimar drainage, we still have two people that have not signed easement. They have agreed to sign. It's just hard for us to get together right now with the COVID-19 virus. So we're trying to figure out a way we can work with that. That's all that's holding us up right now on those particular jobs. When we get those signed, street department will begin both of those jobs. Interstate lighting, we have a pre-construction meeting set up for Thursday, virtual meeting. And as soon as that's done, we're turning those loose, or the company loose, to do the interstate lighting. Last month, we've installed swells at several intersections, and I'll give you all a list of those. It's at Detroit and 8th Street, Waco and 4th, Resmont and Hickory Hollow, Norristown and Windermere, 19th Terrace. Hopefully these areas have been holding water in the intersections, and I've actually went out and looked at a lot of the swells. They are definitely working. It's getting the water moving, getting them to the gutter where the water should be. So hopefully that's going to help on making our pavement last longer as well. We did have one sidewalk repair. It was out on West Parkway. Now for Englewood driveway, I talked with Stephen Bond, the project manager. He told me driveways are being done now. As soon as the driveways are done, that's when they will come back and do the last layer of asphalt on Englewood. Probably would have been done, except we've had rain so much this month. It's just, it just messed everything up. But like I said, the COVID-19 virus has slowed us down some, but we're still moving forward and we're gonna continue moving forward. So that's all I have right now, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Kenneth? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on with the agenda. Unfinished Personnel Committee, I do not believe there's anything from the Personnel Committee. Mr. Harrell, I know you're on. If you want to interject, you can on that. Okay, and Finance Committee will have a meeting. Item number 1 of unfinished old business, the consideration ordinance prohibiting retail sale of recreational marijuana in the city of Russellville. This will be the second of 3 readings. Mr. Harrell, do you have anything to add on that? I see your lips moving, but you are muted. Rick, I see your lips moving, but you are still muted. You're still muted, Rick. Okay, Rick just dropped off. Up, you there? Rick? Okay, we'll come back in a little bit. While you figure out how to when you figure out how to unmute, just interject, Rick. On item number 2, consideration of ordinance vacating and abandoning North Beaumont Street between West B Street and West C Street in the city of Russellville.
Well, now I can't hear you, Mayor.
Yeah, I think the mayor is muted.
That was my bad. I hit mute.
There you are.
So, all right, item number 2, and we're going to wait for Mr. Harrell to
Jennifer.
get unmuted. And
I have
and
Rick
then
on the
we'll-
phone. You
him.
can back if he wants to talk about something.
So you're breaking up a little bit, Gina. Item number 2, consideration of ordinance vacating and abandoning North Beaumont Street. This is the 3rd and final reading. We are in need of an emergency clause on this particular ordinance because there is a building that's infringing upon the right of way, and they will need that emergency clause in order to move forward with construction. Are there any questions on this issue?
Would you repeat that about the need for the emergency clause?
There is one of the buildings, or maybe 2 of the buildings will infringe on the current right of way from this particular, for the street. And so in order for them to move forward with their construction, they will need the emergency clause on this particular ordinance. So it's going to hold them up for another 30 days to get started on construction. That makes sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I see that Rick has figured out how to unmute. Rick, do you want to have anything you want to say on item number 1?
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm sorry about my technological skills here, but I would like to table item 1, push that out a little bit longer to get a little more research to make sure I present this in the right light, if it be the accepting of the council.
Okay. Any questions for Rick on that one? Okay, moving on to item number 3 of unfinished old business. Consideration of ordinance amending the zoning code for the city of Russellville. This is on the amending the El Paso University zone. This is the 3rd and final reading. Item number 4, consideration of an ordinance amending the zoning code. This is relating to the vehicle storage areas and trees. I know there was some discussion on this at our last meeting. Sarah sent out an email earlier today, or late this afternoon, actually, on some comparison of other communities who have similar type of ordinances. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that. And Sarah is on if you have any questions for her relating to this particular ordinance. Okay, hearing no questions. Item number 5, consideration of a resolution requiring removal or raising of an unoccupied dilapidated structure, which is at 408 East F Street. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that property. It was a fire that pretty much gutted that building. I went by there and looked at it this morning. And that will be for your consideration. We will have pictures in your packet for you to consider that next week if you do not have a chance to go by and look at that residence. Item number 6, consideration of an ordinance to vacate part of North Greenwich. This will be the second of 3 readings. This is for the Matt McCoy business. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to new business. Consideration of a resolution granting a special use permit to allow placement of an off-premise sign for Arkansas Hospital Clinic and the Carti Cancer Center. This was passed unanimously by the Planning Commission. Any questions on this sign?
No.
Hearing none, item number 2, consideration of resolution granting a special use permit for a massage and spa business on West Main Street. Any questions on this one? Hearing none, item number 3, consideration of resolution granting a special use permit for an adult development day treatment facility on North University Avenue. This is R3 subdivision. Any questions on this particular ordinance or resolution?
No.
Hearing none, item number 4, consideration of an ordinance amending the zoning code. This is relating to sidewalks and commercial uses. We do have a need to get this one passed, because we have and I'll let Sarah interject if any questions, or if I misstate something, Sarah. We do have a business that's in need of this particular ordinance changed. We have granted them a temporary operating license, but we need this ordinance passed in order to permit them on a permanent basis. Do we need the emergency clause for this one next week, Sarah?
Yes, that would be helpful if we have the emergency clause on this one.
Okay. Item number 5, consideration of a resolution to set a public hearing to vacate south 15 feet of East C Street in the Shin Edition. And that was approved by the Planning Commission unanimously. So we will have that resolution for consideration. I have also, I believe you were sent an email this afternoon for item number 6, which is a resolution associating with welcoming Gulfside Casino Partnership to our community. Chris, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, it's just essentially the same thing that we did for C&B. Swapped out the titles, and just basically they won their one lawsuit the other day. There's a good chance they're coming to our community. I think they would be a good community partner. They have discussed other options of coming in the city, whether it be via annex or on the convention center property. They're just open for discussion. So I think it's a good display for us to say, welcome them or whatever casino company or entity comes into our community.
Any questions or concerns?
I have one for Mr. Smith. Just for the record, Mr. Smith, is this essentially the same document as we had previously done for a different applicant, just to keep them basically parallel and the same?
It is. I changed the unique deals on the preamble part just because they don't have an office here like C&B did, so I couldn't state that, and they don't have a letter from a current county judge. They have letters from the former county judge and former mayor. So I subbed that part out, but other than that, it's the same language of we welcome them, just like we welcomed CMB.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that you would consider it the same equivalent.
It's the same equivalent, yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I believe that is all the agenda items that we have coming up next Thursday. Is there anything that anyone needs to add?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion? Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Stay safe, y'all.
Have a good evening.